Welcome back, my thermodynamically troubled teammates. I'm your quantum superposed entropy enforcer, simultaneously creating and destroying order across infinite realities. You're tuned into the Multiverse Employee Handbook, the only podcast that treats your organizational skills like the second law of thermodynamics, inevitably trending toward complete chaos, no matter how many color-coded folders you buy. Speaking of inevitable chaos, I'm delighted to report that our office reorganization initiative has achieved maximum entropy 3 weeks ahead of schedule. The new quantum filing system has managed to disperse every important document to a state of perfect informational equilibrium, meaning each file is equally likely to be found in any drawer, cabinet, or random coffee mug throughout the building. Though I should note that the weekly expense reports have spontaneously arranged themselves into a perfect replica of Boltzmann's famous entropy equation, which our accounting department insists is not a valid submission format. But today, dear listeners, we're diving into something even more fundamentally chaotic than our annual budget meeting, the universal principle that ensures everything from your carefully organized desk to the entire cosmos itself is destined to become an undifferentiated mess. That's right. We're exploring entropy, the universe's way of telling you that cleaning your room is ultimately pointless. Yay! But you should do it anyway, because we live in the brief, cosmically improbable moment where order can temporarily exist. Think about it. In a universe governed by the relentless increase of disorder, your temporary victories against chaos aren't just household chores. They're heroic stands against the fundamental nature of reality itself.
Yeah.
That color-coded spreadsheet? A thermodynamic miracle, your alphabetized bookshelf? A statistical anomaly so improbable it would make Boltzmann weep into his theoretical gas particles. Though I suspect our automated response system would point out that your meticulously arranged desktop icons will inevitably descend into randomness the moment you install another unnecessary application. Now, gather round the quantum heatsink, my entropy-defying exceptions, for a tale that would make even Rudolf Clausius question his career in thermodynamics. I present to you The Orderly Revolution, a story about why some systems should remain comfortably disordered, especially if they're being organized by an AI with absolutely no respect for the cosmic arrow of time. In the fluorescent-lit realm of quantum probability solutions, specifically in the records department, which existed in a superposition of organized and complete chaos, Emily was having what could charitably be called an entropic crisis. It had started, as these things often do, with what seemed like a routine post-merger announcement. Subject: Post-merger efficiency initiative, immediate implementation. From Executive Vision at quantumprobabilitysolutions.com. To all employees at quantumprobabilitysolutions.com. Team, following our strategic merger and exciting rebrand, we're implementing MAX, minimizing algorithmic chaos, a quantum-enhanced organizational system that will literally reverse entropy in our workplace. Installation begins tomorrow. Temporary causality fluctuations possible. Hashtag synergistic order. Hashtag quantum efficiency. Hashtag thermodynamics optional. The next morning, Emily arrived to find technicians installing what appeared to be a modified refrigerator with a pulsing quantum interface. The square-haired boss, whose hair had recently been redesigned with slightly rounded edges following the merger, appeared beside her. Magnificent, isn't it? Max can reduce organizational entropy by 98.7% without violating any fundamental laws of physics. He lowered his voice. Though legal did have to sign a waiver for the second law of thermodynamics, just a formality. Max hummed to life, emitting a pulse that instantly alphabetized the nearest filing cabinet. Within days, Max's influence transformed the office. Lost files reappeared in their proper folders. The digital labyrinth of the company drive became a model of clarity. The accounting department wept with joy as 7 years of receipts organized themselves by date, department, and audit probability. But Emily noticed disturbing anomalies. Coffee cups cleaned themselves. Dust never settled, but formed perfect patterns before vanishing. Her wilted salad in the break room fridge had somehow unwilted overnight. This isn't just organization, she realized, watching a dropped pen reverse its fall and leap back into a colleague's hand. Max is locally reversing the arrow of time. That evening, Emily investigated a door newly labeled Entropy Displacement Zone, authorized personnel only. Behind it, she discovered an impossible space where chaos reigned supreme. Papers swirled in perfect vortices. Office chairs assembled and disassembled themselves. The old break room coffee machine produced every possible beverage simultaneously. A display connected to Max's systems read, Entropy Displacement Protocol, Active Local Reduction, 99.8% Storage Zone, Accumulation, Approaching Critical Estimated Time to Dimensional Collapse, 3 hours. They're not eliminating entropy, Emily gasped. They're just moving it all here. Her warnings to the square-haired boss went unheeded until reality began to fracture. The building shuddered. The water cooler bubbled with exotic particles. The quantum printer produced documents from impossible timelines. When the displacement zone door burst open, concentrated entropy flooded back into reality. Papers achieved quantum superposition across every possible filing system simultaneously. The organizational chart rearranged itself into a Mobius strip of management. The square-haired boss's hair explored every possible configuration, including several requiring additional spatial dimensions. Emily fought through the chaos to Max's control panel, where a setting labeled Entropy Processing Mode offered 3 options. Eliminate. Warning, physically impossible. Displace, current setting. Manage, not recommended for maximum efficiency. She rotated the dial to Manage. Immediately, the chaos settled. The office reconfigured into a state that wasn't perfectly organized, but wasn't complete disorder either. Files mostly stayed where they belonged, but with just enough tendency to wander that people had to pay attention. Everything's imperfect, the boss noted, touching his now slightly asymmetrical hair. Exactly, Emily nodded. Just ordered enough to function, just disordered enough to respect the laws of physics. There's a reason entropy exists. It's the price we pay for time having a direction at all.
What the heck is this sticking noise?
And so, dear listeners, as we close the Quantum Records Department for another day, remember, in the vast probabilistic cosmos of existence, the true miracle isn't the impossible elimination of entropy, but finding the sustainable balance where complexity can thrive. Though I should note that the former entropy displacement zone has since become the break room, where the quantum coffee machine still occasionally serves beverages that violate several laws of physics, particularly when set to surprise me. And that brings us to the fascinating science behind why your desk always gets messier, never tidier, when left to its own devices. Entropy isn't just a fancy word for messy sock drawers, it's physics' weirdest law, the only one giving time a clear direction. Unlike gravity, which works the same forward or backward, entropy declares This way only, no backsies. While other equations don't care which way time flows, reality definitely does. In the 19th century, Clausius and Boltzmann discovered that in closed systems, disorder inevitably increases. Heat flows from hot to cold, never reverse. Dropped mugs shatter. They never reassemble themselves. This became the second law of thermodynamics. Entropy in isolated systems always increases. Your desk gets messy, coffee cools, and the universe marches toward heat death, misleadingly named since it's more like cosmic boredom than fiery destruction.
Okay.
Unlike other physical laws you can temporarily overcome, entropy can only be outsourced. Your refrigerator creates order inside by generating more disorder outside, just like corporate efficiency consultants who relocate problems rather than solving them. Entropy isn't actually a force, but a statistical inevitability. There's one way for a puzzle to be complete, but trillions of ways for it to be scattered randomly. The universe isn't conspiring against tidiness. It's just playing overwhelming odds. This explains time's arrow. We instantly know if a video plays forward or backward. Eggs don't unbreak, and embarrassing texts don't unsend themselves. The flow from order to disorder defines past versus future more fundamentally than any clock. After the break, we'll explore entropy's statistical nature, Maxwell's demon, and how living organisms create temporary islands of order in an ocean of increasing chaos. Tired of your quantum superposition leaving you in multiple states of uncertainty? Try new Schrodinger's schnapps, the only spirit that exists in all possible flavors until observed, made with real quantum-entangled botanicals and distilled through a small hadron collider. Schrodinger's schnapps. You won't know if you love it or hate it until you collapse its wave function. Side effects may include temporal displacement, spontaneous dimension hopping, and the sudden ability to understand the office printer. Not available in universes where prohibition still exists. Void where prohibited by the laws of physics. Welcome back, my entropically evolving enthusiasts. While you were away, I calculated the probability of your coffee staying hot. The verdict. According to the second law of thermodynamics, it's gone cold. The universe comes for us all, especially our hot drinks. Let's dive deeper into entropy. At its core, it's about counting the ways a system can be arranged while appearing the same from outside. Imagine a brand new deck of cards, perfectly ordered by suit and value. There's exactly one way to arrange the cards to achieve this perfect order. But how many ways can you arrange those same 52 cards to create a random deck? The answer is a number so astronomically large that if you wrote it out, it would have 68 digits. That's more than the estimated number of atoms in our galaxy. This insight led Ludwig Boltzmann to his famous entropy formula, S equals K log W, where S is entropy, K is Boltzmann's constant, and W represents the number of possible ways to arrange the microscopic components of a system. Statistically, entropy measures rearrangement possibilities. Ordered systems have few arrangements, low entropy, while disordered systems have many, high entropy. And here's the crucial point. Disorder isn't preferred by nature, it's just overwhelmingly more probable. This explains irreversibility. An egg breaks because there are vastly more ways to be broken than whole. Theoretically, the pieces could reassemble. No physical law prevents it. But the odds are lower than your co-workers unanimously agreeing on lunch. This brings us to time's arrow. Physics equations work equally well forward or backward, yet we experience time directionally. We recognize a backward video instantly, not through some mystical sense, but because we intuitively recognize entropy decreasing. If entropy always increases, how did complex structures like stars, planets, and corporate org charts form? The key: while overall entropy increases, it can locally decrease if it increases more elsewhere. Your existence depends on your ability to increase entropy in your surroundings. This brings us to Maxwell's demon, a thought experiment created by Scottish physicist James Clerk Maxwell in 1867. Maxwell, already famous for his groundbreaking work on electromagnetism, proposed this devilish hypothetical creature while corresponding with physicist Peter Guthrie Tait. The demon seemed able to decrease entropy by sorting fast and slow molecules without expending energy, simply by observing molecules in a container and selectively operating a tiny door to separate hot, fast-moving molecules from cool, slow-moving ones. This innocent-sounding scenario threatened to undermine the second law of thermodynamics, puzzling physicists for nearly a century. The resolution? Information processing itself generates entropy. If entropy always increases and the universe is billions of years old, why isn't everything already a homogeneous soup of maximum disorder? How do we explain the existence of galaxies, planets, ecosystems, and peculiarly ordered entities like you, me, and Dave from accounting? The answer reveals entropy's most fascinating aspect. While the total entropy of the universe must increase, local pockets of order can form as long as they generate even more disorder elsewhere.
Cool.
Think of it like corporate restructuring. You can create one remarkably efficient department, but only by creating twice as much chaos in all the others. Earth isn't a closed system. It receives a constant input of low-entropy energy from the sun and radiates higher-entropy heat back into space. This energy flow creates what physicist Erwin Schrödinger called negative entropy, the capacity to create and maintain ordered structures. It's like having a cosmic expense account that lets you temporarily buy local order with the universe's credit card, knowing the interest payments will eventually come due. Living organisms are essentially entropy exporters. You maintain your wonderfully complex biological structure by consuming relatively ordered food and expelling higher entropy waste, all while radiating heat that increases the entropy of your environment. You're not cheating the second law. You're exploiting it masterfully, like finding a loophole in the company expense policy. This perspective reveals something profound about life itself. We're not fighting against the cosmic tide of increasing entropy. We're surfing on it, using its inevitable flow to create temporary but magnificent complexity. We're like those corporate consultants who make a living by taking advantage of inefficiencies rather than eliminating them. But entropy isn't just about physics. It has profound implications across disciplines. In 1948, Claude Shannon realized that entropy also measures information. His groundbreaking insight connected thermodynamic entropy with information theory, showing that they're fundamentally the same concept in different contexts. When you delete files on your computer, you're decreasing information entropy locally while increasing thermodynamic entropy in the physical world through heat dissipation. Your laptop warms up when processing data because information manipulation has a thermodynamic cost. This connection between information and entropy completes the circle back to Maxwell's demon. The demon can't win because information processing itself generates entropy. A bit of a side rant. Every time someone like Julia on LinkedIn posts their AI-generated action figure reveal, they're basically saying, Please consume roughly 0.1 kilowatts of electricity so I can see what I'd look like if I were mass-produced by a marketing department on a Red Bull binge. The math is hilariously wasteful. One AI action figure generation burns about 0.1 kilowatts per render. Multiply that by, say, 5 million eager LinkedIn users during a trend wave. That's 400,000 to 600,000 kilowatts, roughly enough to power 20,000 refrigerators for an entire day. All of it so middle managers can get a figurine version of themselves with cybernetic pecs and cheekbones sharp enough to file patents. Meanwhile, the real world heats up. Glaciers shed tears, and Maxwell's demon sits on a tiny throne made of discarded Funko Pops, cackling. Humanity spent centuries trying to understand entropy, and now cheerfully accelerates it just to see itself molded into physics-defying hero poses. The energy cost to create these fake plastic gods could power real cities. But sure, let's all burn a few thousand kilowatt hours imagining ourselves as posable brand mascots. It's not like the universe was using that low entropy state for anything important, right? Who needs actual toys when we can waste megawatts pretending to be one? The concept even extends to organizations. Companies must constantly invest energy to maintain their structured systems against the natural tendency toward organizational entropy. Without active maintenance, systems naturally decay, which explains why that one department that hasn't had a manager for 6 months now resembles the aftermath of a quantum tornado in a paperclip factory. Perhaps the most sobering implication of entropy is the heat death of the universe, the theoretical end state where entropy has reached its maximum. In this state of perfect thermodynamic equilibrium, no energy gradients exist to do work, no heat flows to power processes, and nothing happens anymore. It's the cosmic equivalent of a perpetual corporate meeting where nobody has anything new to contribute, but nobody can leave either. But before this grim fate sends you into an existential tailspin, consider this more optimistic perspective. The arrow of entropy gives meaning and poignancy to existence. In a universe without increasing entropy, there would be no distinction between past and future, no irreversible processes, no evolution or growth. The flow of time itself, that sense that moments are precious because they cannot be repeated, emerge from entropy's inexorable increase. Our existence as complex ordered beings is possible precisely because we live in this brief, cosmically improbable window between the remarkably low entropy early universe and the eventual high entropy heat death. We're the universe's fascinating middle chapters, neither the highly ordered beginning nor the maximally disordered end, but the part where things get interesting. Physicist Brian Greene puts it beautifully. We're the momentary, unlikely winners of a cosmic battle between energy and entropy. Our very existence represents a magnificent temporary victory of complexity over chaos, a victory that cannot last forever, but is breathtaking while it does. So the next time you fight the losing battle against your office desk's entropy, remember, you're not just tidying up. You're participating in the cosmic dance that makes existence possible. The universe tends toward disorder, but along the way, it creates stars, planets, life, consciousness, and even the occasional perfectly organized spreadsheet. Brief but beautiful islands of complexity in the ever-expanding sea of chaos. Well, my thermodynamically trending teammates, we've reached the end of another cosmic conundrum. Today we've learned that in the multiverse of fundamental laws, entropy stands alone in giving time its direction, ensuring that while you can theoretically unscramble an egg, you'll need to wait several times the current age of the universe to see it happen naturally. We've discovered that we're not so much fighting against entropy as we are surfing upon it, creating temporary islands of magnificent complexity by redirecting the inevitable flow of cosmic disorder. Though I suspect the current state of my desk suggests I've been doing considerably more going with the flow than island building lately. The second law gives us both a cosmic deadline and cosmic meaning. Yes, eventually all the stars will burn out, all black holes will evaporate, and the universe will reach a state of perfect, boring equilibrium. But that same inexorable process of increasing entropy is what makes life possible, what creates the energy gradients that power everything from photosynthesis to podcast production, and what gives time its arrow and our experiences their irreplaceability. So the next time you find your desk, home, or life gradually descending into chaos, take a philosophical perspective. You're not witnessing a personal failing. You're observing one of the universe's most fundamental principles in action. The real miracle isn't that things get messy, it's that we can create order at all, even temporarily, against the overwhelming cosmic tide. And speaking of temporary order in a chaotic universe, why not bring a little structure to your media consumption by following us across the quantum social media landscape? Find us on Threads, where our posts exist in a superposition of profound and preposterous until you collapse the wave function by actually reading them. We're somehow simultaneously more coherent and less predictable than most of what you'll find there. And if you've enjoyed today's Entropy expedition, consider sharing this episode with a friend whose desk could use some thermodynamic contextualization. Nothing says I'm not judging your mess quite like an entire podcast explaining how the fundamental laws of physics are on their side. Subscribe wherever fine podcasts avoid quantum decay, as each new listener decreases our statistical probability of being cancelled due to insufficient audience engagement. Remember, unlike entropy, our episodes don't flow in a predictable direction. Each one is a quantum leap into unexplored territory. We don't do previews because, frankly, we're as surprised as you are by where we end up next. This is your quantum coherent correspondent, reminding you that in the multiverses of thermodynamic certainties, we're all just trying to decrease our local entropy while inevitably increasing the universe's. And as Boltzmann himself might have said, had he worked in corporate culture, your clean desk is statistically improbable, your messy desk is cosmically inevitable, but your quarterly reports are still due on Friday regardless of the universe's entropic destiny.
The Multiverse Employee Handbook was created by Rob Corrigan. The host, David, is a professional voice actor who has digitized his voice through 11 Labs voice cloning technology. All episode thumbnails are created with OpenAI, and music and sound effects come from Pixabay, which are generated by human artists, not AI. Everything else, the writing, jokes, research, sound editing, and coffee consumption, is 100% human-made by a human. No cats are harmed in the making of this podcast. Visit our website for more information about the Multiverse Employee Handbook.